Have you ever walked away from an argument just kicking yourself, replaying it in your head, and thinking of the absolute perfect thing you should have said? Well, today we're going to break down how to win those arguments, not later, but right there in the moment.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Wishing we had some kind of secret playbook to just land our point and win the day. The good news, that playbook totally exists. And believe me, it has more than one play.
In fact, it turns out there are really 5 core methods you can use. You can think of them like 5 different paths to victory, and each one has its own special advantages, and yeah, its own dangers too.
And we're going to explore all of them, right here, right now. We're going to start with the absolute easiest way to win, and we're going to climb all the way up to the most difficult, and maybe, just maybe, the most satisfying. So you ready to start the climb? Let's do it.
All right, our very first step up the ladder, the easiest method of them all, is to win by just not arguing in the first place. I know, it sounds like a total cop-out, but there's some real genius to it. See, the win here isn't about proving you're right. It's about protecting your own time and your own peace of mind.
You know, Mark Twain really hit the nail on the head with this one. Sometimes the absolute smartest move you can make is to just turn around and walk away. It's all about realizing that some battles just aren't worth fighting, even when you know in your bones that you're 100% correct.
But, and here's the catch, in most arguments, both people are convinced that the other person is the stupid one. So if you dodge every single disagreement that comes your way, you run a huge risk of living in an echo chamber, and you just might miss out on some truly world-changing ideas from the other side.
Okay, so if walking away isn't an option, what's next? That brings us to method number 2, and this one is all about playing the long game. It's the art of winning by losing. I know it sounds completely backward, but the idea here isn't about being right in the moment. It's about getting what you actually want by putting your long-term goals ahead of your short-term ego.
Let's play this out with the cookie confrontation. Picture this. Your roommate storms in, points a finger at you, and says, "You took 17 cookies." Now you know you only took 16. So do you fight about it? Nope. You figure out your real goal. It isn't winning the cookie count battle, it's winning the cookie war. You want there to be cookies tomorrow. So you lose the argument on purpose. You immediately say, "You're right, my bad, I'm sorry." And what happens? The tension just vanishes, your roommate kind of feels bad for blowing up, and guess what? The cookie supply is safe. You won.
All right, we're halfway up the ladder now with method 3. This is where things get a little calmer, a little nicer. This is where you actually try to understand the other person. You could call it the diplomatic approach.
The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates was the absolute master of this. His big idea was to go into a debate not to prove how smart you are, but with a real, genuine desire to learn something. You start by finding these tiny little things you both can agree on, and then you just build up from there. It's a seriously powerful way to convince somebody, when it's used for good, that is.
But, and this is a really big but, the Socratic method has a dark side. See, when it's used in good faith, it's all about finding mutual understanding. But in bad faith, it becomes a weapon. You just ask question after question after question, not to learn, but just to frustrate and confuse your opponent until they completely give up. It stops being a search for truth and becomes a tactic of pure exhaustion.
And speaking of weapons, welcome to method number 4. Okay, we're entering the shadows now. These are the unethical, the illogical, but oh so effective tactics for winning an argument at any cost.
The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer literally wrote the playbook on this stuff, and it is just full of dirty tricks. You can twist their argument by exaggerating it, or by saying, "So what you're basically saying is?" You can try to get them angry to throw them off their game. You can ask a bunch of random questions to get them all mixed up. If you're about to lose, just change the subject, or interrupt them over and over. You could even associate what they're saying with something everybody hates. And if all else fails, just use a bunch of big, complicated words they probably don't understand. It's a whole arsenal of ways to fight dirty.
And that brings us here. We've made it to the top of the mountain. The final method. This is the hardest, but maybe the purest. And believe it or not, the most straightforward way to win.
It's just using good logic. That's it. It's the simple structure you probably learned back in school. First, you make a clear claim. Second, you back it up with actual evidence, facts, data. And third, and this is the part almost everyone forgets, you explain your reasoning. You connect the dots and show why your evidence proves your claim. Simple, clean, and incredibly hard to do right.
So why is simple logic so hard?
Well, because a lot of the time it's just easier to do this. Instead of being clear, you can simply surrender to the irresistible charm of using needlessly long words and convoluted sentences, which creates a loud mess of fancy vocabulary that goes way over the head of the average person and, well, you get the point. Sometimes just sounding smart feels easier than actually being clear.
So here it is, the bottom line. An argument is just a tool. And we've seen 5 very different ways to use it, from strategic silence to dirty tricks, all the way to pure, clean reason. The only question left is, the next time you find yourself in a disagreement, which tool are you going to reach for? And why?